Welcome to my craft room, y'all. This is my happy space where I do my creating. I absolutely love being in here creating, and I wanted to share my space with y'all. So I do have a cabinet over here. It has books in it. It does have some miniatures, a few miniatures in display, but not many. That's what I plan on keeping in there. But right now, I don't need it. I don't have anything I need to put in there. So eventually I'll move my books and things to my library. And here I just have some foam that I use for different projects. And then this is my first cabinet. First, let me show you. I have these containers up at the top. And in these containers, this is how I store my holiday stuff. And for instance, a holiday like Halloween, I'll have 2 of the boxes because I really enjoy crafting for Halloween. So I try not to outgrow those. And when I do outgrow them, I start getting rid of stuff. That's my rule for myself. I don't put the charms and the paper and stuff in those boxes, just all of the other things. And then in here, I have my apples that I made, and I have some clay crafting stuff, some piping bags and cornstarch, nothing too exciting to see in there. I have my notebook spiral binder here, and this has all the tools for that. It has the rings, the little spiral rings, and it has some chipboard in there and papers that I've cut. Over here, this is how I store my stamps and embossing folders. There is no rhyme or reason to this box. It is not organized, but it's kind of fun to go in it and look through it when I am using different, depending upon what I'm using for the project. Back there, I'm working on something, running a switch back there, so that's why that looks like that. And over here, this is some more of my little creations. I didn't make the sign. The sign is from Hobby Lobby. Here I have some of my Cricut vinyls, some mugs for my mug press, different Cricut materials, and my tiny iron. And I love my Cricut mug press. It sits on the shelf. And down here, this is how I store my bigger charms and cabochons that don't fit in my tiny charm drawers. They're all organized by category. Down there, I keep some foam, pipe cleaners, and little pom-poms. So that is this cabinet, this set of cabinets. And this is the next one. I love looking at this. I think it's so much fun. And in here, I have some solid cardstocks, like the glossy accent, the glossy cardstock, and just different pastel glitters and things up there. And here, I've kind of grown bigger than what I thought. At first, I wasn't sure how I wanted to store these because I didn't have a lot of them, the specialty glitters from Michaels. And now that my collection has grown, I do want to get another one of these. So that I'm sure will change. And in here, I just have some little beads. They have water in them and I like them. So I put them in this cute little jar. And down here, I have my little clay sprinkles that I make and love to use all the time. Like I have my little watermelon ones and 4th of July. And, oops, I have some candy canes and little tiny marshmallows. And I do keep these color order. I always try to keep the pinks on hands and the mints, but they do change depending upon what I'm working on. I do add to them, or sometimes just when I'm running low on a jar, just change them out for something else that I'm working on. And down here I have my Concord and 9th stamp pads and card stock that it just sits there to remind me to use it, and that's how I have it displayed. As it grows, I know that I will have to change that up. And down here, these are my dies, and they're organized by category. Down here are my stickers. They look all crazy and messy in there, but they are organized, as you can see, all the bows up in the front. And then down here I have my washi tapes, and I'm gonna go up back to the top. And then I have my sweet little bear and some cardstock under him. Here are I have my charms. This is how I store my charms in these little drawers that I love. And I'll have to do a charm video at some point, go through it all, because I love to see those videos. And down here, I was searching and searching when I designed this craft room for something that looked pretty to store my sequins, the bigger ones that we buy in bulks, like the reds and the golds and the pinks and all of those. And I'm pretty sure it was Craft Purge that had these containers, and I thought, oh, those are so pretty. I'm pretty sure it was her, I could be wrong. But I wanted to store mine sitting up so I could see them, and I just love the way it looks. So I have those. That's how I keep the bigger packages of sequins. And then the smaller ones, like the little specialty ones, or ones that we buy from Dollar Tree, or some of the little sequin mixes that I make, I just put in these little containers down here. And then now I have this cabinet over here. So up at the top, that's where I keep my fabric. I do have some more I need to add to that. And then here, this is where I keep my acrylic paints. I am going to need to get another one of these because I do use my paints a lot, and I am outgrowing this because I do use a lot of different colors and shades, lots of different browns, different yellows. So, and then down here, I know I do take my glitters out of the other bottles and move them to this bottles, so that way they're all uniformed, and I love it. It makes me happy, so that's just how I do it. And I organize them. I also organize these by colored, which I love. I love looking at that as well. And down here I have a bunch of, those are polymorph clay beads back there. I have clay pieces that I've made. Down here you can see the little lemons and watermelons, and some down here, some bunnies and oranges and watermelon slices. And then some other ones, some store-bought ones, like the ones, I think those are from Hobby Lobby, and some have been given to me, and some rainbows and Christmas ones. And down here, this is how I store my bows, the little bows that we have. I keep them in these little containers down here. Don't have a crazy large collection of those, but as they grow, I want them to be organized. And then up here, y'all, I kind of move things in and out here. This is stuff that y'all have sent me, and I switch things around, and I like to display them in here. And in this little box, this is just a little box that has some just different odds and ends in here. So like little bows, barrettes that I thought I could use. These I need to move because I just actually moved my little buttons today. Feathers, just little stuff like that stay in here. This is a fun little box to dig through. So I have that box that sits in there, and I didn't change the little tab. The brand is Habitat, and I was like, that's their habitat in there, all those little things. And down here I have my glitter glues and my paste and my embossing powders. And down here I have my alcohol ink markers, which I love. I used to only have this set, and that was a more inexpensive set. I don't feel like there's such thing as an inexpensive set of alcohol ink markers. I mean, even at Ross. So I got these last year for Christmas with this shelf, and I wanted to make sure that I used them before I bought this brand of pastel ones. So this year I do use them all the time in my stamping. I love it. It's so relaxing to stamp in color to me when I'm making things. So this year I got these for Christmas, and I got another shelf, and that is how I display them. And down there's just some more paper that I probably need to move out of here because I'm done. That was for Halloween. And then over here, this is what I call my cutting station. So I just have this little thing. I might move that. I just have this little thing because it looks pretty. It has these little beads, and when people are in here, they're always touching these little beads here. There's always people in my craft room. Sometimes somebody will come over and craft with me, or my niece will come over and craft with me. Yesterday, I think there were 5 or 6 of us in here, and I have a candle. I always like to have a candle burning. This is alcohol, but I need to switch this out to water because that's what's going to work best for me, because this is my cutting stuff, and this will work for my embossing. And then of course my Cricut, and then over here I have my Big Shot, which I got this for Christmas and I love it, and I love that it's pink. And then I have my little clay oven over here. So this is my little cutting area. And down there I have my cutting plates, my t-shirt press, and then I make my own shred with that little machine that I would not recommend. And then in these drawers, this is where I have all my card bases, because sometimes I just don't want to cut a card. I just want to grab one quickly and make one out of the base that's already cut. And in this drawer I have my tools. So I have my heat crimper, my fusing tool, I have power strip, just different, my little Cricut cutting tips, different things in there. This drawer I need to go through. It makes me crazy. It just has a bunch of Cricut stuff, my Cricut laptop, these giant gloves that I don't use that came with my t-shirt press, and my tiny die cut machine that really doesn't make sense why it's in there, but like I said, I need to go through this drawer. And then this is kind of my overflow clay drawer. It has my bigger molds back there, and some little molds that have just made their way up here, and the pastels that I use to color my clay they made their way from this drawer, because this is how I store my clay. I have them all in here, and then once I open them, I move them to these little bags and just keep them along here. I tried to keep them color coordinated, but it usually doesn't last long because I'm always in here grabbing for them. And this is just a bunch of the molds that I have, and cutting tools and different things that I use, some piping tips for my clay crafting. And then over here in these drawers, I have my adhesives, my glue guns, some extra glue guns. I've had this, my mother had this when I was little, so I don't use it anymore, but I can't get rid of it yet. It still works, and it's kind of sentimental. She was a crafter too. And then up here I have my foam tapes, different foam tapes, my Velcro pieces, and just different sticky stuff in the front. And then this drawer, these are some labels. This is where I keep my paint brushes and some paints that I mix up when I'm doing my clay crafting projects. I keep them in those little containers. This drawer, I call it my paper crafting drawer. I keep all the cards that you guys make me back there. And down here I have some little things. That one's supposed to go in the other drawer. Some little cut out paper pieces, some tassels to make bookmarks. This is for book binding, my book binding material, my wax. It's my wax thread and my awl, and some crit paper. Just different things for binding books and making paper stuff. In this drawer, I have the stuff that I send out in Happy Mail. And then this is my wood crafting drawer. This houses all the wood stuff. So anything wooden lives in this drawer. And then I have this set of cabinets. And in this one I have some spools of different things. I just love the spools. I think they're so pretty, so I wanted to display them. And down here is where I store my paper flowers that I make, so I can just grab for them. And I try to keep bows on hand too, because I do not like making paper bows, y'all. It makes me crazy. So I try to have them on hand just to grab. And I have a few snowflakes over here. And this is where I store my tiny beads. So I store them in these little guys. Let me show you. So down here, I just have just different beads, and I keep them all color coordinated in here as well. Looks like this one is a little out of sorts, but so this is how I store my tiny, and I refill them. So I know what I have. And I have more down there. See, I have the little tube beads as well. The ones that I use a lot, I keep on my craft cart, but like this green, like I'm not going to use that a lot, so I'll just keep them in here and refill them as I need. And over here is where I keep my little things that I use, like these little guys, type of things like that, nail art type stuff. I love to use little miniature stuff. I'm sure y'all noticed that already. So I keep that stuff in there. I guess I could show y'all everything that's in there one day when I do my charm video. And now, I used to not display my foam like this, but I use my foam a lot. So this works, and it actually looks kind of pretty because it's so colorful. And then just a little jar of fruit that I use. In here, I have, in this little box, I have all of your ATCs, and I have them by month, all the little tabs, so I can go into January and say, okay, whose birthday is in January that I need to send a card to. I love having ATCs for you guys and making cards and things. And this is another paper crafting box. So I keep everything paper crafting that I can embellish with. So like these little tags, these little rosettes from Lori, these little boxes that I can embellish, and just different things that I can add to projects. Some stuff that y'all sent me, and some stuff that is store-bought. And then over here, I just have these little jars that I made. Aren't they cute? I had so much fun doing these. I made the little tops for them. Look at the little. And I just store stuff like this in them. I painted the tops pink. These are some cards that I've made. I thought that I would get around to adding to this, so I would have some to just grab for, but I haven't. So I've just added some that I've made to this box, and this is where they live. And then these boxes, I love these boxes. They house stuff like my clay, a lot of my clay stuff that I make. So you see I have a lot of frames back there and different things, some candies. I did not make those, but I do keep stuff like that in here. I love these boxes. They're fun. So I have a couple of those over here. And then this is just a little fun stuff. My little sad bear that I found on the aisle and had to buy him because he looks so sad with his little head tilted. And these fun little guys, this little ice cream, and this Rosemary made that lollipop, and I displayed that in there. And down here, this is how I organize my beads. I bought this from Harbor Freight, and I painted it pink. And I store my beads in, they are color coordinated. And I love it. I love this. And down here, this is where I store my blingy stuff. So down here in these little things, you can see I have all of the sparkly flat backs. Down here I have a drawer full of flat back stuff. And that's how I store that. Over here I have some wrapping papers, and they're just in that little container. And it has some little bags and stuff in there too that I probably need to go through after Christmas, since Christmas has passed. And I have a TV up there that sometimes I'll turn on Heartland, or most of the time when I watch it is during spooky season. I like to turn on a cozy movie and watch it, or watch a Christmas one or something. And then over here, this is how I store my scrapbook paper. I love it. It works so well for me. As you can see, I have my pinks in here. I have my glitters. I have these things for like pocket letters. I have acetate and chipboard and all Christmas and holiday ones, and I love it. It works so well for me. And this is my little mailing station, my little scale and stamp and a label printer. And this envelope's just hanging out because I was doing something with it. It's usually tucked back there. And I have this too, this bowl. This changes out depending upon what the holiday is, and it was able to carry over from Christmas because I didn't use a lot of it for Christmas, so now it's there for Valentine's. And I have this pretty mirror that opens up the room. And I have these little drawers over here. I hosted my 50th birthday this weekend, and I was so excited to get to have one of these jars. There was one left over in the party favors, and I was excited about that because I don't account for myself in party favors. And in it, I just have all of my pretty little shiny buttons, the little rhinestone buttons and stuff. And here is my laminator, which I love. I got it for $18, I think it was, for Black Friday, and it is a gem. I love it. I think it's like $20 regularly. I think, could be wrong. And then in these little drawers, I just keep stuff that I love. So, for example, I have my lighter because I always have a candle lit in here, but just little things like these little tags. For instance, I knew that I really like these, and I wanted to have some extras, or know that, oh, I do have some extras, just little things that I could keep back. Like this, I made this one Christmas. I love it. And then that's some shipping money that I'm about to use. And then down here I have my drawers, some more drawers. This houses ribbon, and they're stacked and color coordinated down there. Over here, I call this my shaker drawer. This is to hang off of things, just little different things, but I have all these little different kinds of spoon for sequin mixes. I have pins and little boxes to make sequin mixes, and just different things to make shakers and sequin mixes in this drawer. And then down here, this is just organization stuff. Like I have some extra little jars for my clay and my glitter. These, I'll show you what these are for in a minute, and just different things that I use to organize with as things grow. Down here, this drawer makes me crazy. This is my packaging drawer, and it is a mess. These drawers are, I would like to put some bins in there, but these drawers aren't that deep. And then I kind of overflowed over here with some more packaging stuff. Then here, this houses my felts, and my tool is all down there, and just different sewing stuff. I bought, let me see, they're down here somewhere. The things to organize my embroidery floss is in there too. And then here I always use wax paper for painting and clay crafting and stuff. Then I have some little containers in here in my duster. And then this drawer, I really love this drawer, y'all. It has fun stuff in it. So it has like little jump rings and things, and then it has these boxes like this. Like I love these boxes. They're so fun. Let me try to open it and record it at the same time. Like just fun stuff. Like I love these. I love using these. I use these little bookend things a lot. I have some bales in different colors. These little guys, some lights, and these little frames, charms I really love to use. Just different tiny little brads, little hotel keys, just different stuff like that. I love to reach for stuff like this to make a project unique. And I have more stuff like that down there. And this little bag is a necklace that my son brought me. He wants me to fix for him. And down here I have some back there I have some keychains, stuff like this. These eyelets, buttons are down there as well. I have magnets, and I also over here store my chain. And I have some specialty chains in here as well. And then over here, I have some adhesives. I keep my extra glues and my stuff that I use to coat my clay. I have my stamp pads that I grab for the most, the black ones and the ones for embossing. This little towel is to wipe off my stamp press. And then I have this little stamp pads back here that I love, that I use a lot from Hobby Lobby. And then some wooden stamps. And then I have these stored like this. And I know that I'm going to, I know this is going to grow, so I'm going to have to store these differently. But these are what I use these little pink things for, are these. So that is that. And then over here, y'all, I have my little cart. As y'all know, y'all have seen it. It switches out depending upon what season it is. And I hang that little Cupid's Cafe, this guy here, it stays there year round because I use it for my little clay oven over there. But I use these chairs because I just like them. They're just comfortable to me, and they work. And that one's mine, and that one's my quality control manager's, if y'all have seen that video. And this, y'all, this is my favorite thing. So while this craft room was under construction, I was crafting at the dining table, and sometimes I was crafting at the high bar area in the dining room, because I wanted to stand, and I knew it was completely unrealistic to find something that I could do both, sit and stand, for my craft room. But when I was building this craft room before I bought, because I knew I wanted something in the middle that I could work at. And y'all, I found this in Home Depot walking through there, perfect timing, and it moves up and it moves down. So my chair doesn't have to be I can get any kind of chair in here, because it doesn't have to be a specific height, just depending upon how high I want to sit. And I can stand and I can sit here, and I just love it. And I keep my glue gun here. It usually hangs off the side of here because it will just fall over constantly and drive me crazy. And in here, this pretty little glass container houses things that I grab for a lot. My tiny paintbrushes that I use all the time, my foam brushes. I have some pens, pencil sharpener, scissors. I have this little guy for my sewing pen, my bone folder in there. And I have this little frame that I'm going to use for something. I'm going to make something with it. I just haven't got around to doing it. And I have my adhesives. I used to put these up, but I grab for them constantly. So I keep them here. The glues that I grab, like Mod Podge, I don't grab for that a lot. So I don't have this out. And in here, this has, this little pretty bottle has alcohol in it because I clean my stamp press with it after I use it. And over here, I always like to have these little things to just overflow of stuff. And I have this little jar with gourd pens that I love. As you can see, I'm working on some stuff, so I have a lot of paints out. Those usually aren't there. And I have a glass mat that I got for, I think I got this for my birthday. I love it, y'all. And in this drawer, it's kind of messy, but I know where everything is. I have my metallic pens back there, my glue, my foam tapes, my ruler, my stapler, all of my tools for wire wrapping, my punches, my wire for wire wrapping. And then I made these because when I paint beads or make little beads, this is how I dry them. I made that out of clay because I was like, what can I do? Where can I put these beads to dry? So I just made that little guy. And then my little weeder and stuff like that, just all here. This drawer opens constantly. And then down here I have my paper trimmers. I have my Fiskars on. This one I've had for years and years and years and years. I just changed out the blade to one of these kind, and it's an off-brand one, and it works just fine. I love it. And then I have my paper scorer back there, my little stamp press, another little magnetic glass mat here, my Fiskar refill stuff. And I made this little notebook. This houses all y'all's addresses that I could send happy mail to. And then in the back, I have a notepad where I keep all of my projects that I want to do and challenges and stuff and when they need to be completed by, so I could stay organized. And then one more thing, I have down here, I have these bins, and they house projects that I want to do. So when I buy something that I want to make, I don't just put it up. I put it in here, so when I'm done with the project, I can come over here and say, okay, what do I have next that I can work on? And I have it here so I don't forget about it. Like those socks, those need to go out in some mail in a couple weeks for some birthday mail. And this just went into some favors over the weekend. So all that stays in there. And over there is where my some little miniatures that I'm working on. But this is my craft room, and again, my happy space. And thank y'all for coming in and hanging out with me in here for a little bit. Bye-bye.